2 minutes and counting. Well. Welcome. I know that we're not great in numbers this afternoon, but we are great in our depth of understanding as to what's happening nowadays with the IQD. I think a lot of people have mistaken delay for a process. That's the very first thing I want to talk about. Number two thing I want to talk about this afternoon is I want to talk about, a little bit what I've been going through, a little bit some of the revelations that I've been having. And then I want to go over this list with you guys. And then I want to go over with you guys post reinstatement, what it looks like, what's going to happen, just what's going on. I posted in one group already, secret Twitter group. I posted the pictures from the green zone. Those came straight from my friend. You guys know who he is. He sent those to me. He also told me to clear up something. There's an article that's floating around that says that PM Mahandi is resigned. And people are biting all over this stuff, man. They're going crazy for it. They're like, PM Mahandi resigned. And that's what's going on. You know what I mean? And well, he hasn't resigned. He clarified that to me just a moment ago. Okay. So let's see who this is on my live real quick. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, who's
yes,
this?
Sir, hello. This is Alex from Home Bar, I think. Are you Mr. Brandon?
Yeah, but I'm busy right now. Can you call me back? No, not at all. Okay. Sorry about that interruption, y'all. You know how these solicitors all, and I thought it was Jeff. So sorry about that. So what happened to me was this. Talking to a very, very good friend of mine, and this friend who's very deeply religious, you know what I mean, tells me things, and blah, blah, blah. So one day we're talking, and he goes in this, kind of like talk about what's going on with me and da-da-da-da. And you guys all saw what happened with, that little group on Twitter. If you didn't see it, someone tried to call themselves humiliating me, making me feel some type of way, calling me certain names that, I wouldn't even care because these people are trash. One thing that I've learned about people is that not everybody's going to have the same intestinal fortitude that you do, and not everybody's going to have the level of pettiness that you do. And you got to respect that. And so since these people have done this, it's done nothing but bring prosperous things. But my friend in this whole talking to me of everything that happened and about what had happened with the person that they were speaking with warned me that these things were going to happen. And you guys listen, I'm not some prophetic nutcase. I'm no Bible thumper. I believe in God. I believe in all that. And, I have a healthy fear of the Lord. But I don't think that I want to go out there and say like, oh, I was prophesized that this is going to happen. No, it was a discussion, and they told me about the discussion that they had with the person that was also more deeply spiritually rooted, and they came up with a couple things that it came to pass. One was what happened to me online with those stupid people. Number two thing that said that happened, that if I didn't blow up on camera that night, because, you know, I'm kind of a hothead. I'm kind of the guy out there that loses his cool. You know, I do that. But if I didn't do that, we would see a great, kind of like a great awakening that we know that the future. And that was why yesterday in the podcast, I gave that reference to Jeremiah 29. It wasn't in the necessary, the biblical sense, but it was more in the here and now sense. The I'm living through this, and if I see something, and I've already told you guys, it's no secret. When you see the government seated, it's over. Within hours, I don't even think days, within hours, I believe that you're going to see the reinstatement of your currency. I think between 2 days, possibly as long as maybe even, I'm going to say 7, but I could actually see it going maybe 30. You're going to see, in my opinion, the Vietnamese dong go. Now, we've talked rates before. You know, I'm a $3 guy for Iraq. You know, I'm $1 to $1.50 guy in Vietnam. I've made no bones about that. I believe in those numbers. I've seen them for myself in my own dreams. And so I'm just telling you guys that I think that those are viable. Now, they tell me all these things are going to happen. If I don't blow up, it's going to be a good thing. So I don't. So I do the show Monday. I felt very, very calm. I went to sleep eerily, almost kind of like relieved. Like, it was kind of like, wow, okay, so I finally got whatever it is I was going to get. I went through that. I lived through that. Man, I talked to Uncle Luke about it. I talked to Jason about it. I talked to Woke in person about it. I talked to Beth herself about it. You know, God help her too in all this. I talked to everybody. I talked to Mr. Frazier about it. Most of all, I talked to April about it. You know, I talked to a couple friends at work about it. They know about what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. And they said, just don't react. Don't react. Don't say that. So I didn't. I'm not taking this platform to react either. I'm not going to react. It's not a reaction. I'm just telling you what's going through me, what's happening to me right now. So they tell me if I go through that and I don't, then a blessing is going to come our way. And that our group, our club, our gang, whatever you want to call us, is going to multiply exponentially. Exponentially multiply. Like, it's going to go from the hundreds that we're in right now, that we're going to see numbers in the high hundreds, or maybe even 1,000 persons. That, hey, C Perky, good to see you, bro. We're going to see that number grow, and we've got to be able to take the new people and to help them. As much as some of you guys already are, like Bethany posting news, Nancy posting news, Spaz going crazy with the news, Jason going crazy with the news, Link Bear going crazy with the news. I mean, all you guys, it's not that I'm doing it. We're doing it collectively. And it's just so refreshing to be about a bunch of people that collectively want to see something succeed so much that they actually participate. So thank you all. I can't say thank you enough. April, the news. Seriously, Lee, the news. You know, everybody, some of the people that aren't in here that are on Facebook that provide news. Thank you. Just thank you. I have an attitude of gratitude. But so our number was going to be in the low thousands. And what was going to happen is we were going to have basically like control, like a small country. You know what I mean? And that we were, I mean, the word clubhouse is kind of crazy, but it was. I am going to buy an island. It's just going to be bigger. I'm going to build structure on it, like a small, like either condominiums. I'm going to build like a luxury hotel or luxury housing suite or whatever. You know what I mean? It's going to be our clubhouse. We're going to have these meetings there. We're going to talk about what our purchasing power is going to do for us. You know, how we want to move. We have to agree that what we'll do is we'll vote, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do it. I'll either yes or no it if you want to participate in these large buying groups, because y'all, I've got offers from everything to get involved in gold mining with some legit companies in South America that I think you guys would be interested in, to crypto mining with some guys out of Arizona that legit, if we want to buy our own farms and stuff and be a part of owning our own mining rig there, and they're going to do it all through solar, so the electricity will be low. We could do that. The guys that are involved in it, you'll hear about it at a later date. All the way to, I want to find us a currency broker. We've already found a precious metal broker, and I'm going to stop leaning so hard to other people for the teachings and stuff and get a little bit more hands-on, because I already know the stuff that I need to know, or that I know what we need to do. I just need to do that. And then I also need to make sure that we're prepared, that the teachings go along with everything else. So, and we're also going to do large scale digital currency purchases. And when I say large scale, this is post, reinstatement. Each of us, if we had 1,000 people, if we got 500 of us to put up 100,000 at one time, then you know what would happen? We'd be making some major swings in the digital currency market, swings to the point where we could manipulate the market ourselves. And best to believe, having market manipulation is one thing that, whether I was one person investing that much currency or I was a group of people doing it as a club, the game changer of all this is we're in it to win. If we're buying precious metals, buy them all at one time. We'll get a better deal if we're paying cash and we're all together. Now, I'll talk a little bit more post RI, things that you need to start preparing for, but let's talk about pre-reinstatement. So all those things happen, our group grows, and I'm talking to a guy named Jeff from Dinar Investors. Shout out to Jeff. He's telling me that, he goes, man, I watch your show a little bit, and I really believe in the things that you're talking about. Do I believe in the things he's doing? And he's a much smaller channel platform, but that doesn't mean he's not smart. I always looked for people to embrace that I thought were bigger, that were smarter. And all that I've encountered through all these people is either they don't know the investment like they should, they make up stuff about the investment that they shouldn't, or they're basically just all full of crap, which happens a lot, full of crap. So I started talking to some of these guys that are on a smaller scale, and I met him, and he's a really good guy, very, very smart. Gonna have him on the show on Friday. And he gives me this list. And he says, Brandon, do you think that the reinstatement of the Iraqi dinar has been held up because of the United States, the IMF, whatever? The same kind of poll that I saw 365 put out there. I said, no. I believe there's benchmarks that have been set, and they just haven't reached those benchmarks. Things I've told you guys 100 times. He says, well, what if you thought about it in reverse? He goes, what if I told you certain benchmarks have been done and set, and so now when it gets down to what needs to be done or what has been done, especially through the first quarter of 2019, especially going into the second quarter, what if I could show you some stuff that would make you to believe that maybe that they've done 99% of the things that they needed done, and they've also told us a couple of things that they're doing that are going to show you the open eyes of what's really happening with Iraq. I said, lay it on me. So I posted in the group yesterday. These are facts, okay? Iraq used the entire first half of 2019 to set the stage. I believe that also. They did. Number two thing, they held a meeting on February 27th. It was a national meeting. It was to unify to the world, and they formed committees. And then a couple days later, if you guys remember, there was an article that I put out that said that they had taken those people that were set for the Interior Minister and Interior Defense, and they hired chair people and subcommittee people and all these different directives and all these different people to do things, but yet they still hadn't had a person in place. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. I think, though, in some type of classification type service, that those people were already in place when those things went forward. And the reason why is they took long stretches and breaks without even mentioning Interior Minister of Defense. And they also, to throw in a couple pair that they thought no one really noticed, they mentioned the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Education. Now, why would you hold off on the Minister of Justice and Education? They already had those people picked. They were already shoo-ins, but they never voted on it. See, that was the thing that they tried to be deceptive about. I think they did vote on all four. All four. The guy I told you guys first off, that I forget his name, I'd have to look him up again. He's one guy. He's going to Material. He's the anti-terrorism guy. The defense guy is that the old retired general. He's going to go to the defense guy. That chick's going to be the education. I showed you pictures of her, and I've already shown you the picture of the guy for the Minister of Education also. Straight from a talk, straight out the horse's mouth, straight for whatever you want to call it. Okay? Now, when they held this meeting on February 27th, it was about tackling corruption. One of the things that the United Nations Security Council talked about, the IMF, everybody that's ever talked about Iraq has always said this. They have to have this ongoing battle with corruption. So you got to think about this. A lot of people think of the United States as the system is corrupt, right? But the politicians are kind of corrupt. But in Iraq, the system's not only corrupt, but the politicians are more corrupt. So the system's not corrupt. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Yep. See, Perkley, just stay good, man. Stay grounded. There are no negative numbers right now. Okay. The academy to see the good deal. So think about this. They've got those things done. Now they can't tell you that if there's four things that have happened in 2019, you are pretty much on your way to success. And this is why I told that last night that in 012, Shabibi couldn't have put the exchange rate up. He couldn't have. He could have, but it would have fallen. It would have failed. Everybody knows that. Because they didn't have the laws passed, the structure in place, the things, this little cleanup list I'm about to finish reading you done. And one of them was to start an anti-corruption task force. That's one. Number two thing that they had to do is they had to get their FML law passed. The financial management law had to pass first. Then the financial administration law had to pass second. Now, I read that last night what the financial administrative law is. What that is, per se, is basically it tells you, okay? Let me get this out here for you. Okay, it tells you this law shall be called the law of administration for the state of Iraq for the transitional period. The transitional period is between the time that the government is actually formed, the prime minister's formed, the presidents are formed, then they seat their cabinet, then everybody's sworn in. And it says, will appear in this legislation shall mean the law of administration for the state of Iraq for the transitional period. It is gender specific. The term transitional period shall refer to the period beginning of June 30th, 2004 and lasting until the formation of the elected Iraqi permanent government constitution as set forth as in this law. So you guys understand, they couldn't actually have international recognition without this law. That's why 30 laws are up to vote on Saturday, okay? 30. So duly noted here that to understand where you are, understand the laws that had to pass before this could happen. This is a preamble to this law, is an integral part of the law, okay? They already formed a transitional government. Now they've got to go on to the latter part of the government, right? And it says this law shall cease to have effect upon the formation of an elected government pursuant to a permanent constitution. What are they supposed to be voting on Saturday? A permanent constitution. So this law was an integral part of whatever they needed done to get done before they could have a reinstatement, okay? So we know that's happening Saturday. This information reveals the elections are complete and the GOI is formed. How you know that these things are done and how they're finished is you just saw that law. They're going to vote on it, and it's going to be a major piece as to what's happening. And that's where I go back to that Jeremiah 29. It's not the biblical sense of it, but it's the idea that you see this and know that you have a future. Okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I saw it, and now I know the future is bright. Okay. Now, on March 20th, the CBI announces the exchange rate during the current legislative term. Now, the current legislative term was Q1, and we were kind of looking between then and April. We were right about April. But like I told you, if you take it from a literal sense, meaning the Americanized calendar, but if you take it to a Hebrew calendar, nothing, nothing, something. April, May, nothing. Nothing, nothing, something. Nothing, 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 something. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Meaning nothing, April, May, June. So, excuse me, April, May. June is the third month, something. So if you say it the three more times, and I'm not into this Clement stuff, but I do like what he said about this. And I'm not saying he predicted anything, but it's just exactly the way it's working out. Then all of a sudden, if you go nothing, nothing, something, that's the third week, June this month, according to the Hebrew Bible. And that's why I'm so bullish right now on that 9th through the 25th mark. You can take it all the way to the 30th. I'm just saying from now to the end of June, you should be ecstatic about where you are. Okay? March, June ends the 30th. That's coming. Iraq meets with the WTO in preparations to join. They've already started their ascension into the WTO, and they've already said that. That wasn't a prerequisite for a reinstatement, but what it told you is you can't be with the World Trade Organization if your currency is not accepted internationally. Everybody on that list has an international currency, okay? So that's something that we know that's happening. Let's talk about on March, that was March 25th that happened. On April 23rd, the CBI holds Financial Inclusion Week. Part of the thing about getting the citizens to trust the bank was having that financial inclusion, getting the citizens warmed up to the idea of going back to the bank. Now, they take that so seriously and take it so far as, remember, now they're putting in these special windows for lower denomination recognition and don't throw these notes away. And, hey, look, these lower notes are real. They have the whole thing with the signature on the notes from Alak. And even though nothing's happened about Alak right now, don't worry. We just talked about a few things. I could actually let you guys listen to the last thing he said here. Hold on, just to give you guys a little buzz up here. Oh, he was talking about ID. He said that they weren't really going to handle anything about the CBI about ID. They talk about it later. I wish I could play his voice, but I can't remember what it was. So Alak signs that currency, the WTO, then we got financial inclusion. And then remember this, during financial inclusion, a major thing happens. They realized that from one year to the next, they had double the inclusion. So what they do, they ramped up those Q cards, those little yellow Q cards. They got them distributed to much more people. So when they first had the Q cards distributed in like 2003, they basically put out about 2.5 million cards. We know that there's about 30 million persons in Iraq. So you got to think, getting those people to the bank and getting those Q cards is A, natural census piece, and B, it'll help get rid of those ghost riders and ghost soldiers and ghost people who are supposed to be getting revenues or paid and blah, blah, blah that aren't supposed to. But that's not the important point. And the important point is that Q card is run by the two biggest banks in Iraq, Rafidian and Rafidian, I guess you could call it. I don't know the name of it. Let me see what the name of it is real quick because that's important. I'm going to get it for y'all. Hang on. Okay. Those cards are by the two biggest state-owned banks, one being Rafidian Bank and one being Rashid Bank. Together with the electronic payment system, or IEPS, they have established a company called the International Smart Card. Now, the card was issued in 2008, not 2003, I'm sorry. And basically, it got out to about 2 million people. They issue about 100,000 cards per month. So you do the math. So if you issued 100,000 cards per month, that's basically 12 million cards. Basically, every person in Iraq right now should have a card or be on the card or be on the list to get a card, right? So that's an easy one. We know that. Now, you say, well, Brandon, what's that? What's the big deal about that? That was because that way you could pay the people their entitlements, you know, their social welfare, because they're really still running a social state. They can run their social welfare system through that card, and you make sure people aren't stealing, how they're using it, how they're abusing it, and blah, 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 blah. So then next you see come out, this is more sign of internationalism. You see that they're going to now switch from those two banks to MasterCard. So you go, well, why MasterCard? Because out of the Visa, MasterCard, American Express system, MasterCard is globally the largest of those systems. Half of their business comes from the United States, half comes from globally. But even if you have to include the United States to make them the world's largest, but when you do, why else do you think they'd want a banking system so closely tied to their country through MasterCard? And did you know that MasterCard and Visa actually are the two largest credit card companies that don't issue their own credit cards? Isn't that unique? Another way for security and safety. So Rashid or Rafidia Bank can issue the card, so that gets the banking back into them. But now they're going to have an international smart card with international symbol and awesome. So when they're in Finland or they're in Denmark or they're somewhere else, they're not showing off some odd piece of credit. Now it's going to look like any standard westernized credit card that is accepted anywhere in the world without any kind of weirdness or mistakes or whatever. And I asked my banker, and I said, hey, what's up with these credit cards? If a credit card's international, is it international? Can I take my debit card and use it in Iraq? The answer is absolutely yes. If my money was transferable over there, and they do it all electronically, it's by algorithm. Once they swipe your card, it goes into that currency. That's why MasterCard and Visa are so widely accepted, because they can transfer and they can transpose money super quick. And that way the vendor A pays a fee for it, like 3%. They get their money out of it. The merchant does. The merchant fees come out of it. Then boom, they get paid instantly in the currency native to the land. Now you say, Brandon, why is that important? Because don't you guys see all these articles coming out about flight opens here, flight opens there? Yeah, you've seen a few of them about Kirkuk and about Baghdad here, but most of those flights are international. Most of those flights, what happens when you travel abroad? you don't necessarily have time to run by the currency broker and go say, swipe my card, let me get, you know, $20,000 in yen or 5,000. You want to be able to go to a restaurant, lay your credit card down, pay for it, you're done. That can only be done if you have the confidence in the credit system. Now, remember, these guys aren't necessarily credit-worthy people, and how they devised credit in that country was kind of genius for a while. People that saved money, that had money in the bank when they issued the cards, got issued credit. If you didn't have any credit in the bank and you had very little funds available, they didn't issue credit. They gave you smart cards and prepaid cards to build up to where you became trustworthy. Very interesting. Okay. Now, March to May, Iraq is setting the stage for post-RE, creating reconstruction and trade. So everything that you guys have seen about trade routes, the One Road, One Belt initiative, all these things that you guys have seen about what they're doing to open themselves up internationally as well as regionally, Israel, Turkey, Denmark, Sweden, all these different places is post what we should be calling post-reinstatement talk, right? None of those countries are going to trade with you right now. Maybe very few of them will trade with you right now because your currency is so greatly undervalued. Remember, it has everything to do with imports and exports. Even though if I was selling something, the only thing they sell is oil, right? They trade in that in petrodollars. That's why their currency is not affected by that. And that's why the value of their currency also goes against the petrodollar. It increases it because the petrodollar is a commodity. As soon as it comes out of the ground, it's basically black gold. It's going to sell to somebody. Now, the point to that is they don't trade in dollars. They trade in petrodollars, which is still a dollar, but they're going to get paid regardless. That's going to keep their foreign reserves high. Now, they've got to have a currency that they can shift in and out of countries with little red tape. So now you see them opening up business with Japan. You see them opening up business with the United States, with OPEC, with this, World Trade, That has to be a fully recognized currency. And you've seen it. That's called post-reinstatement talks, okay? The next thing that they're talking about is reconstruction news. The only way you could really and truly start rebuilding your country is with a reinstated currency because you need all these international businesses to come in there with free capital flow, money coming in, money coming out. That happened on May 21st. May 23rd, they voted on the federal draft, and they also voted on the financial management law. So at the end of this in June, you're going to see the financial administration law, which will complete those. They've also, on May 26th, formed the committee to implement Article 140. I'm going to pose this argument to everybody about Article 140, and I don't care who you are. If you're a citizen of Iraq, and if they just enacted Article 140 today, even with the card being digital, they would be a great risk because they have to keep an asset to be Basel III compliant. If that bank holds $500 million, that they hold so much asset in offsetting accounts, such as gold or real estate or something, to offset what they have in the streets. So it's kind of like a casino play in that instance, okay? The second part of that is, to understand it completely, is they couldn't reinstate it because they'd pay out too much of the citizens if they didn't reinstate it. If they did reinstate it, then that would mean they'd actually give out less cash flow. Now, in Iraq, that doesn't mean you're going to have a bunch of new billionaires and trillionaires. To the contrary, if they had, whatever X amount in the bank, that's what they're going to have in the bank. It's not, the digits won't move. Okay? It won't go to a comma or less of a comma. They're not going to cut the zeros off their bank account. It's going to remain exactly what it is. And believe you me, 90% of that country is poor. The 10% that are mega wealthy, probably 8% of those are going to go down because they're government employees. You see what I'm saying? So you're only going to have about 6 or 7, maybe 40 or 50% of that 8% are going to be actually law-abiding citizens that are legit rich. That's why legit rich mean that if they had $1 billion dinar, they're going to stay with $1 billion dinar. You know what I mean? Very few, just like this country. Okay? They're going to prosecute those corrupt. That's going to keep those notes down. It's also going to put money back in those reserves. They're also, what they're going to do is they're going to make sure that whoever does have that much money is not funneling it through terrorism, Iran, and other sources. And that's why you see these laws about you can't have so much cash on you, so much money can't leave the bank, can't come back to the bank. There's a blast list of banks that you can use. All these things were done pre-reinstatement talk because they know what's going to happen, okay? Now, the committee to form Article 140 started on May 26th. You've already seen the United Nations and some other people come in and say, hey, look, hurry up and get this done. But Article 140 is, Article 140 basically means it's post talk, okay? Post, because they want to get paid before they can do this. They don't have to vote to implement it. All they have to do is implement it. If you hear about them paying out an Article 140 or the ACL law, then you can darn sure bet, C. Berkeley, darn sure bet, brother or sister out there, that they have reinstated currency. I bet my lifeline. I'd cut my wrist live on camera if they didn't, because there's no way it'd be putting the cart before the horse. What good is having that currency if it doesn't buy anything? You're still in the same spot. They need that currency to have purchasing power. That's the whole reason for giving them Article 140. But the one thing that they won't seem to give us, the one thing that you hear is like the most difficult thing. They're agreeing on Article 140 of disputed areas that have been done since the Ba'ath era, since Saddam Hussein. This isn't something recent about just a few years ago. They're arguing about times when Saddam Hussein was in power also about those disrupted areas. They're going to agree on that. But they can't agree on 4 people, and 2 of them are already basically filled. They can't find 2 men or women in that country to seat the Minister of Interior or to seat the Minister of Defense. They can't seem to do that. They've already done it. They just won't show you because that's the last thing. They told you they were going to do 3 things before basically they opened up to the international stage. 1, they were going to open up the green zone. When I first got into this, I remember seeing articles everywhere about that. They said, man, as soon as we open up the green zone, that is a sure sign that we are ready for internationalism, because that is like the capital. We want to keep it safe. We want to keep it whole. We want to have all these awesome things. The green zone is going to be our kind of like shining light to what's going on in our country, to what's happening. That was 1. Number 2, you would see a fully seated government. What does government show to people? A strong government shows security. Now, our government, we would probably argue as Americans, Canadians, or whatever, is as screwed up as anything. But one thing you can't argue is it's not working. It's not somehow seated. Like, we seem to find a Secretary of Defense, even if we fired one. We seem to find a Secretary of Interior, even if we fired one, or we hired one from the beginning. That's because we have a strong and stable government. Iraq doesn't. But you got to remember, they've only been practicing democracy for 16 years. So they're still trying to get the corrupt because the government was the most corrupt. The actual system was more corrupt than the actual politicians, in my opinion. The corruption was so deep-seated and such deep-rooted, it took this long to get all this corruption out of the way, okay? When you see Siemens start moving in, heavy generators is the last thing he put. That's reconstruction effort. And when you also see them starting to do stuff with the dam and water supply, that's post, and also sewage, that's post, okay? Because you got to have money and funds to do that. That's the list that they had. That's what we talked about. Now let's talk about let's say now we've gone to the bank. We're all sitting back. What's my plan about going to the bank? Okay. Well, I'm going to take a small piece of whatever I'm going to do. So if I had, let's say, $1 million dinar, I'm not going to take 500,000 dinar on the opening gate, whatever number comes out. I'm going to take more like 50 to 75,000 in dinar and go down there on a test run. I'm going to get just enough cash so I could open up my trust, or if I hadn't done so, or pay off some nagging bills that are like eminently important. Like I'm just being honest, some of us probably have car troubles. Maybe you need like a little scoot around car just to get you around. Maybe some of us have financial issues. We're like, we need to pay off this credit card because if we do need to travel, we need this piece of credit to use it. Some of us may need to fix a car, maybe pay up on your house note. Do little things where at least for the 30 days, you can live stress-free and take a small trip. Go out. Don't go too far. I'm going to tell you why. I want you to have as very little stress coming back from whatever day that you come back on. And it is my belief, just like a couple other people, that they're going to reinstate their currency. They're going to do it on a Sunday. And then Monday, it's going to be Katie bar the doors. So now all of a sudden you're at the bank. We're going to have a view about this, a show about it. And all of a sudden you come back. You got your finances straight. Everything's good. Got your pets boarded. We got the kids out of school. We're going to go on a small trip. Now, don't be foolish. Don't book a trip like to Paris if you live in Seattle, Washington, or don't go to Fiji off the gate. Don't do those things. Take a few minutes, go somewhere where it's reasonable, okay? And the reason why I'm saying do that is I don't want you too far from your currency, because what I know is going to happen is they're going to float their currency. So whatever number they're going to come out at, that number is going to slowly rise. Now, I don't want you to travel with your currency, because then you run the risk of losing it or held hostage or robbed or anything. So I want you to go and get enough rest that you can come back and you're ready to go. A couple of days, I don't think you'll see that great of a flux in currency. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take when it goes, like, let's say it starts at $1 and it creeps up to $1.80. I want you to divide your currency in what you would call needs. So if you know that you need, something else big done at this point, boom, trade in more currency. My thought process is it will only have about a 30-day window on the Iraqi Dinar from it to go from the entry-level point to as high as it's going to go and then settle back down. Okay? I mean, 30 days. So I'm not saying it's going to be 15 days, it's going to keep rising, and 20th it's going to start. I don't know, but I'm just saying that in 30 days, whatever the reinstatement value of it's going to be, because the first couple of days is going to be just all the people that need the money the worst are going to trade in. Then you're going to see the smart investors are going to hold on to that currency, let it rise up, trade a little bit more, kind of gauge the system, trade a little bit more, trade the system, or gauge the system. And then you got to think at some point the demand's going to grow, so the number's going to grow. It's going to hit a crescendo. That's when you want to go in and say, look, if I got $500,000 left and it's hitting $4 right now just because supply and demand, I'm going to trade it all in. That's $2 million. I'm out of the deal. I'm good. I'm good. Okay? What I want you to think of is this. Think of yourself as a bank and be fractional. Okay, I'm going to throw out some live numbers to you. So if, let's say you walk away with $5 million total, okay, $5 million. I want you to take at least 20% and pay yourself. At least. That's $1 million. Now, in that $1 million, I want you to do a couple things. There's a thing called an ETF, okay. An ETF fund, okay? An exchange trade fund is an investment fund traded on stocks and exchanges, much like stocks. An ETF holds assets such as stocks, commodities, or bonds, and generally operates with arbitrage and mechanism designed to keep it trading close to its net value, although deviations can occasionally occur. You can put gold into these accounts, okay? I want you to buy as much gold and as much silver out of that million as you want. I would say at least 50%, okay? I would say anywhere from 30 to 50%, my personal opinion. So if you did 30%, that's going to leave you about 700,000 cash, okay? I want you guys to really study with Miss April Beebe, and I'm going to learn better too. If Coinbase is as far as you're going to go with the digital currency market and you're going to roll the dice with the common coins and not get involved into the bigger coins, then it's my opinion that we sit down truly one day and we figure out the 3 or 4 biggest coins that we're going to want. Because when we hold these big meetings after we're set and done, this is post-RV. This is what you're going to do. You're going to have money left over to play with and to invest. I'm going to tell you, you need to take, I told you 20% out for yourself. You need to have 20%, like $1 million that you always are using for investments in business. And the last $3 million is what you're going to live off of. Okay? Meaning you're going to buy your house, your car, whatever. I suggest doing those things in the way I'm telling you because this is going to be crucial here in a minute. But you learn how to take that money and invest it in the cryptocurrency space. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but I don't say it right. The idea there is I want you to all own Bitcoin, a bunch of it. That's called a legacy coin. That coin's going to hold its value, and it's also called the millionaire's coin for a reason. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to buy as much of it as a solid group as possible. We're all going to invest a little bit in the beginning. But we're going to try to buy a whole bunch of it in the end, okay? And then we're going to get into I'll say how we're going to do that in a few minutes. So now you've got your Bitcoin, your Litecoin, your XRP, your Stella, all the stuff that's on Coinbase that we think is going to Bitcoin Cash, all the things that we see on Coinbase that are going to be easy to buy. We want to buy our stake. We want to take about $500,000 and do that or more. I would say $500,000 to $1 million. And then the last thing I want you to save that other, well, excuse me, $500,000 to $300,000. I want you to take the balance of that first amounts of money. Okay. So you've got your precious metals. Now you've got your currency. I want you to buy a reasonable house if you don't own a house. And the reason why I'm saying is if you own a house, I don't want you to go buy a new house off the gate if you can help it. I want you to protect and fortify it, but I don't want you to buy a new house if you can help it. There's going to be a global crash, okay? Probably in 2020. It's everywhere. Now, I'm not one of these doomsday people, but real estate's going to drop to basically 20 cents on the dollar. It's going to devalue everywhere by 75 cents. So if you go out and buy this beautiful $1 million house right after you get all this reinstatement money, in less than a year, the house possibly could be worth, what, $75,000? $100,000 maybe? You know, that's 90%. So the idea is save that money. Let's see what happens globally. Okay. Have a couple meetings that we can speak to each other and see what's going on. Okay. Now we've also done at this point done the same thing with the dong. It's the same strategy. You're going to take a certain percentage out, reinvest it in your ETF, stocks, bonds, gold, silver. That's held somewhere. You're going to take some of that money, buy it for your home. Fractional pieces, ounces, grams, half grams, 10 ounces, 20 ounces, stuff that you could store at home that in case you have to travel, you could throw it in a bag, you could throw it in something. If you had to leave the country, you'll have that with you. Your small pieces of gold and silver, and then if the economy does crash, you've just hedged all your money against what you have on you. Not just in physical currency, which you'll keep a small piece of, but a larger piece of that currency held in an ETF, and that way it's protected. Sorry, y'all. Now, last but not least, out of that $1 million, I don't want you to think I'm a Debbie Downer. Don't go out and buy like a bunch of expensive stuff right away. Start thinking about where you want to be investment-wise in a year from now. It's my personal belief that in my idea or in my thought that we'd all meet somewhere that are in the club, not just all. I'm not going to invite any of these Facebook people. No offense to the Facebook folks or none of the, there'll have to be group members like you guys. We all go to the island because it's secluded. No one knows where it is. We'll take private charter there. We go and we vote. If we do, I want to buy digital currency on a large scale. I want us to get into mining on a large scale because gold, if it becomes a new currency, we're going to be able to get it. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to grow our own fruits and vegetables because that's going to be majorly important on that island. So you'll be safe. So from no hormones, not like that. And we're also going to have a water purification system that we can generate and I believe sell water all over the world. Water is the next gold. Then past that, we meet 2 to 3 times a year. We talk through these group channels. If we don't pay someone to develop our own communication system, so that way we make it double encrypted so people can't listen in, and we go from there. Woo! I hope I didn't talk too much. I hope this wasn't too long for you guys. Oh, Billy Massey says, I have one question. I have dong and dinar. We live in Wapu. Hi, but I was not able to go into the bank and buy it. I had to go and buy it online. So my question is, can I go to the Chase Bank and trade my dong if I don't have an account? Maybe not if you don't have an account. I have an account with them on purpose. I only keep a few dollars in there just for stuff like this. So it may behoove you to put $25 in the account if you can spare it, Mr. Massey, just in case so you can do your foreign currency exchanges. Oh, yeah, and that was the last thing I want to tell you guys. The last thing that we're going to do that I'm going to take a select few of you and get done is I'm going to take you guys where FCA. Hang on, y'all. Bear with me. And there's also a type of insurance plan I would like to talk to you guys about at a lower time also. Okay. We're going to go somewhere that we can open up an FCA. And what that is a foreign currency account. Foreign currency account is a type of bank account that allows you to send and receive funds in multiple foreign currencies, potentially changing your current way of conducting international business. Through these multi-currency account, funds are either exchanged into US dollars or held in the currency of transaction until you're ready to exchange them. So if one of your goals strategically for your investment is to buy a bunch of dong, before you buy excess amount of dongs, when you go trade in a little bit of your currency, we need to immediately try to go find a place that we can open up your FCA account. That way you can buy $1 billion worth of dong for like, let's say 60 or 80,000 cash. It'll be stored in that account. So then when it does exchange, you're not worried about lugging barrels full of money anywhere. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, and I'll put it up here on the Patreon site. It says other banks, including Cathay Bank, Citibank, and HSBC, offer foreign currency exchanges for putting money in foreign currency. Time deposits of yen or euro foreign currency account is one maintained in U.S. or overseas banks, but in a foreign currency. So there are banks that offer them. Citibank, HSBC offer them, and we're going to utilize those. That's the last piece of the puzzle, because if we use the currency broker, and that's the other thing I want us to look for, if we could find a currency broker, someone we could trust, then you guys could understand me when I say this, that we could buy and sell that currency and go straight into our accounts and no more having to leave that money sitting inside of our walls or safes or something exposing us. Because if there is some type of meltdown and the unemployment rate does drop to nothing, the reason why at first you want a safe, smaller home, A, you can protect it. Number two, you want to make sure that if all these ne'er-do-wells are out here running around doing crazy stuff, you can protect you and your family. Number three, it takes the risk of you having valuables in your house out so that people will be less attracted to try to take from you. That's why not moving at first will help. After the crash happens, kind of a better idea. Move up a little bit, buy the currency, buy the purchase, the land, cars, whatever, at a fraction of its cost. You won't be working anywhere. You'll be working on your inside business stuff, so you can gate it. You can do all those things. Then you'll have time to get access back and forth to like our clubhouse, so we could talk about more large institutional buying. What's my plan, bro? 500,000. I said 5 to 750,000 was my thought process. Yeah, see, Perky, that's the idea, is that we'll vote because we're only going to do one at a time. We're not going to buy 3 coins. We're going to say this week we're going to buy Bitcoin. Boom. We're each going to put up, let's just say, however much we can afford at that time. I'm not going to say $1 million. Let's say 100,000. I think $1 million would be the best number, though, because if you could buy $1 million with a 1 coin and there was 1,000 of us, we just bought, man, that's millions of dollars of coin. We'd see the needle move. If we just saw it move for 24 straight hours, and then we said we could set a number and say let's say 5,000. If it hit 8,500, we should sell. Then we're going to set an alert on everybody's deal. 8,500, then we sell and we're done. Then we'll wait for the large purchase. And we remember, because those currencies go up and down with such volatility at this point, we'll be able to manipulate that market quite easily and be in and out of it in moments. That's why the blockchain is a good thing for us to invest into. That's why also on the island, if we ever thought about it, we may want to get into mining, open up our own mining center and use solar energy to energize it, so we don't have to worry about using large amounts of energy at a cost. We could use the solar energy to do it, and we would just split the cost, so everybody just pulls out a little bit every month and buy a state-of-the-art one. Tax shelter, yep, tax shelter. That's why we're going to Belize. We're going to be in a tax haven there. We'll go with one of the banking systems in there. That's why we'll be there. Yep, don't buy a large new home, y'all. That's crazy. Yep, leaving the matrix. You know where I'm getting at. You guys got to be smart with your money. We could go to these islands and buy up every single island in this area. There's islands for 2 or 3 acres, 4 or 5 acres. We could buy them as a group. We could buy them individually. But the idea is that we get away from the GMOs, the harmful pesticides and stuff like that in our food. We develop our own water purification system. That if you wanted to sell it, you could sell it, but it's going to be the next goal. And number 3, we could grow our own fruits and vegetables and live somewhere safe. That's basically, we'll be out of harm's way from all the chaos if the markets were to crash. And by then we'll have our ETFs, our FCAs, we'll have our physical gold on our person. You'll be able to transfer some of your weapons and stuff like that to your island, or live on the island with the people that do have them to protection. Your family will be safe. Everybody will be safe, and we'll be, not living off the land, so to speak, but we'll be able to use the land for as much as possible. And, we'll learn as we go. Yeah, Bill, you can call me if you want to, after this. No, what I'll do, is Perky, what I'll do is I've got a list of them here. It's Cathay Bank, Citibank, HSBC. I would kind of like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that we're going to get a better deal if we do it together, but I'm saying that if you live, like, let's say in Hawaii and I'm in Houston, if we both said, we said as a club, we're all going to HSBC, then we can each go to HSBC and demand better rates, demand better services, demand this. Hey, I'm in this club. We present like a little business card. I'm in this club. Boom. What kind of deals do we get? And I'll go down to the bank and talk to them about working out some type of deal for it. My club, who has certain amount of very wealthy people, we're coming to your bank. We're going to open up FCAs. If you see them, they want these perks, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to demand a little bit more. And that's going to be the start of our purchasing power. So when we buy things, we're going to buy things on a large scale. We're going to buy them together. So just like anything, we will be in control because we're going to be a control group. And we're going to do it together. We're going to raise the barn together, okay? Well, y'all, I don't know if I've given you my plan. So like if the dong goes for $1.50, you want to take $1 for yourself, 50% or 50 cents for investments, precious metals, and real estate. If the dinar goes for $3, and let's say I think 78 cents, I want to take at least $3 to myself, if maybe not a little less. And the 78 cents, you want to go ahead and set up your foreign currency, your trade, everything like that. Okay. Well, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this vision. Look out for our hedge series where Ms. BB goes over the digital currency space, and look out for the third installment on that, which will be precious metals. I think part of being in this group that makes it so cool is I'm involved with so many smart, wealthy, like-minded individuals. So if you have friends out there that like stuff like this, that want to join, invite them. If you got people that are curious about getting in the markets or whatever that you're in, invite them. I just want you guys to know I'm here for you. I'm here to help. I hope this helped out. I hope this video is good. And I will see you guys either later on or tomorrow with more news or more exclusive news just for you guys. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.